Tell me, who is Andrew Hulbert?
Council estate family, working class guy who had a dream when I was about 15 that one day I was going to run my own business and break out of the working class mentality. Started a business when I was 27, grew that over 10 years to about a £50 million turnover, managed to create $100 million in exit value, retire at 37, and today you find me at 39, 2 years later. I'm really trying to work out what life is all about. Now I'm on the other side of being a millionaire, being successful, and just working out what life is.
Congratulations on the exit, right? Because as an entrepreneur, that's what everyone's striving to achieve, right?
People do the grind, even not for themselves as entrepreneurs. They do it in their day jobs and their corporate jobs, and they're trying to actually get to a bigger exit.
I'm interested to know specifically about how you kept yourself both mentally and physically fit.
I set myself annual challenges, and often they would be health related. I'd always set myself goals, very goal-orientated entrepreneur outside of everything I was doing, because my love of food was real. And actually one of the things, and this sounds silly, but it's absolutely true, and I think it's good advice, donuts. Donuts worked for us.
Sitting here now, how do you define success?
That's what success is. You couldn't have convinced me before I did it. Now you couldn't change my mind.
Welcome.
How are you doing?
Really looking forward to this.
Yeah, me too. Thanks for having me.
No, it's a conversation we've not even had. We've been in each other's company a couple of times over the last 2 weeks, some cool events.
Yes.
But we've not had a proper get to know. So we'll do it in real time.
Yeah.
Tell me, who is Andrew Hulbert?
It's a good question. I'm at an interesting time in my life where I'm trying to work that out. I'm a council estate family, working class guy who had a dream when I was about 15 that one day I was going to run my own business and break out of the working class mentality. Started a business when I was 27, grew that over 10 years to about a £50 million turnover, managed to create $100 million in exit value, retire at 37, and today you find me at 39, 2 years later, a couple of years into the decompression of being an entrepreneur and really trying to work out what life is all about. Now I'm on the other side of being a millionaire, being successful, and just working out what life is. And that's where I am today.
I love the fact we met at this time, because there's a whole chapter that's not written, right? You're clearly not sitting on a beach sipping a cocktail, which I'm really interested in.
Yeah.
But it's almost like reverse engineer that. So often, and congratulations on the exit, right? Because as an entrepreneur and very much a sort of founder entrepreneur audience, that's what everyone's striving to achieve, right?
Yeah.
But actually, there's probably a real story to that. But often that can be met with a scenario where the dream to exit and have all this money actually doesn't make you happy. Where have you got to with that? Because that's a big exit.
Yeah.
But you look really content.
You know, so many people say to me, like, did you have a breakdown after the exit, or how hard was it? The only thing I can promise all of those entrepreneurs out there is it is worth it. It is worth all the sacrifice.
Good to hear that.
It is, and all the hassle and the grind and everything that goes with it. The thing I've realized quite recently as well is people do the grind, even not for themselves as entrepreneurs. They do it in their day jobs and their corporate jobs, and they're trying to actually get to a bigger exit. I was very lucky. Towards the end, I started working with a business psychologist, and he helped me to plan for what life was going to be like in retirement, because I was going to be 37 years old and have a load of money and have a load of time. So he talked to me about Olympic gold medalists and how after they get their gold medals, often they'll suffer depression afterwards. And effectively, you're aiming for an island and you're swimming towards that island. And as the business gets bigger, you can see that island in the distance and you're swimming really, really hard to try and get there. And then one day you're going to get there and you're going to be on the island drinking your coconut drinks out there. And you need to work out, what are you going to do when that comes? So for me, it was about working out, what did that mean? What did success look like? I knew family was important to me. I knew rebuilding relationships that I'd sacrificed in the 10 years of running the business was going to be important to me. And I knew just having some brain time back to myself, so I didn't have sort of running around after people all the time, was going to be really important. So I knew that was coming.
Whose decision was that to engage a professional to help you with that? Were you advised to do that, or did you go looking for it?
Yeah. It was actually a friend of mine knew this person as a friend, and they suggested, and they knew me quite well, so they could see the stresses that were coming and the difficulty that comes with stress of growing a successful business. They could see it in me, and they could see how dedicated I was, and I was 1,000 miles an hour all the time. And I think they just said, Andrew, just take 5 minutes. And I did about 8 sessions with this psychologist over about 8 weeks or so. And they were the deepest, most honest sessions I've ever had with anybody. It was a form of therapy, really, as I was getting ready to exit. But yeah, one of my friends saw in me where I was getting to from a stress level and said, slow down, have these conversations. This guy's going to help you. And one of the first things I did after I made my money is I went and bought 2 bottles of wine that were about 700 quid each. And I took it to Stuart, who was the psychologist who helped me, and just said, thank you. You really helped me through this process.
What I've picked up on a lot of the conversations, what I've read and kind of seen about you, is that culture element. So there's a friend that recommended someone to you, someone that knew you, looked in, and then you listened. Then there's the psychologist that helped you, and then you thanked them. It seems to me like you're a really nice guy. And I want to almost open up the culture element. I want to bring that into the business journey, but also the fact that it's refreshing to hear that you can be a really nice guy in business when so many people tread on other people and don't necessarily do the right thing.
Yeah. Let me go into the cultural piece and where it came from. So I go back to my roots. So like my grandfather in the 1950s went onto a council estate in a caravan and had 3 kids. And that's where it started on my mum's side. And my grandfather on the other side ran caravan rallies. And my grandfather on the council estate, he was the one that ran the community centre. So 7 nights a week, they'd be around the club drinking, but doing all sorts of dancing and bingo and everything. That's the environment that I came from and I grew up in. So then I grew up as working class. I had my first job at the age of 12, but I was in a really multicultural environment, lots of different experiences really early on. My parents taught me the value of hard work. My dad was in a factory 40 odd years, my mum in Sainsbury's for 30 years. So I saw the value of community, of being together, and of hard work. And most importantly, food, by the way, food bringing people together, which we should explore because it became a big part of Pareto in the future. But when I started my own business, I wanted to take all of the elements of my upbringing and my background and the diversity of what I've had of experiences and put it into the workforce. And we had a team of 500 people in the end. So it's really important to me that we actually were kind to the staff. We looked after them. We gave them opportunities. We were fair by them and right by them. And also, I wanted to bring the senior team on the journey as well. Many entrepreneurs are selfish. Let's not forget that. And they want to hold on to as much equity as they can all the time. I was happy to give some equity away because I wanted to bring other people on the journey. And ultimately, there was a team of 15 senior leaders that we'd hired in that time. I personally hired them all, and I didn't lose a single one in 10 years. 100% retention of 15 leaders that ran the business. And it just so happens that they represented every diversity category that you could possibly imagine. In a business industry worth $100 billion a year, we had the most diverse team. There's like a £25 million business, and it absolutely made us stand out. Now, that's what I wanted, because that was me, and that was the way that I could control things in a positive way and help other people.
Brilliant leadership. Sort of jump in, but that's such brilliant leadership. Congratulations.
Yes, but it was
the team must have felt that when it's heartfelt and it's deliberate, with intention.
I think, as you say, and I do count myself as a nice guy. Other people may not think so, but I do. Cut me in half and my integrity is absolutely what I'm about. And with that team of 15, we were able to gift them about a 20% sweet equity pot. That went on to be worth 8 figures at the exit that was split between them. And these were just normal people that I'd hired that had come in on normal salaries. But I was like, look, we're going to do something extraordinary here. Come on this journey with us. Leave businesses that are 300 times the size of us to come and join us and come on the journey. And you know what? 15 of them did. And we had the most amazing time. I didn't go into business to make friends. I went into business to surround myself with people that I could give opportunities to that wouldn't necessarily get it before and just be part of their lives in a really positive way. But similarly, if there's a problem on a Saturday, I call them up and say, oi, I need you to help me do this. So yeah, it was all about creating the right culture and bringing in the right people and bringing in people that wouldn't necessarily get the opportunity in bigger businesses. And I could give them that chance and give them some money at the end for being part of the journey.
Tell me what the business was that you started and the why behind it.
Yes. So it's a property services business or facilities management. So I'd gone to university, I'd gone to join a small facilities provider afterwards, and I'd grown to operations director around the age of 24. I had 250 staff under me at the age of 24 with no experience in property services.
But early leadership, right?
Early leadership. But again, why that came was because the background I was from, it was you should take every opportunity that the business gives you to grow your stature within the organization. And they say give work to busy people. Well, I was the busy guy. So in that first business, 24 years old, 250 staff, and I was ops director of a business, which was doing really successfully. We got bought out by a big business, and we went from 10 million to 8 billion overnight, and we just lost all the heart that went into being an SME. So I'd done that for 2 years. I was looking around. I wasn't enjoying myself. I was 25, 26 at this point, and I thought, I'm not learning, and I don't know where I'm going. I don't know why I'm doing this. And I'd gone out with the guys, like the very senior team, and we'd gone to Mayfair for steak, and I was in a cab on the way back, a bit drunk. And I looked around and I thought, I don't like these guys. I actually don't know why I'm here. And I had a real crisis of what is the point of all this? And I went home the next day and I said to my wife, I've got to do something for myself. And that's where Pareto was born. I handed my notice in shortly after that and set up the business 3 months later. And it was out there to try and be an antidote to the big businesses within the sector that I thought were treating their staff badly. They were rubbish at customer service, and they just lost touch with being big organizations that had 50,000 staff in them, and the staff just felt like a number. So I thought that we could create a culture for people based on my working class background and community spirit, and give people an amazing opportunity to work within our organization, whether at leadership or at operative level. And that was a dream. And we managed to grow that literally from my bedroom. And I mean it. I was in my bedroom on the 8th of August, 2014, on my own with a laptop, no backers, no finances, no clients, no processes, just me and a laptop in my pants because I hadn't showered yet that day, going, what am I going to do now?
The entrepreneurial journey can be quite lonely. I can relate to that with some of the things I'm doing even now. And what I mean by that is at that moment, sat on your pants in your bedroom, it's all on you. You got to make it happen. Right?
Oh, yeah.
But what I feel like you did really well, which goes back to all the articulation of how you brought up around community and how valuable that was to you, and then bringing what became a really loyal, hardworking community, is because you must have done that very quickly, because I don't feel like you've had in any way almost like an identity crisis since the exit. Sitting here now, I feel like that natural curiosity and that whole, I use that term, next chapter, you're excited about. You don't know what it'll be, but you're working on it.
Yes.
And then you'll work out how to give back in the way. But touching on that loneliness element and that side that can be sort of plaguing entrepreneurs, how did you deal with that quickly? Because from that moment, again, sat in your bedroom, how quick were you to build that community element where you actually felt like you had a proper team, tribe facing forwards?
Yeah. The first thing I did was went and hired somebody that I knew could be my right-hand person, a guy called Bill, right from the very start. And between us, I knew that we could take on the world. And I believed in both of us. And that actually, we could do anything. And I really believed that. I hired people I wanted to be in the business from the very beginning. I mean, and we got to 500 odd staff. And
did you know some of these people, or did you or know of them?
Yeah. I knew some of them because I was well networked within the sector, and I knew of some of them. I knew some of them as well, but it was a real mixture. And actually, what's great in business is if you can start like a ball rolling and you can start a journey and people start listening and they start hearing about you and they go, wow, heard about this culture that you're building. I want to come and be part of it. We genuinely had people out of nowhere say, I want to work for you. You're the only brand I would leave my business for, come and help us out. But all those community backgrounds and tolerance things that I mentioned, that's what I wanted to build from the very beginning. Like I said, I didn't go in to make friends, and I wasn't lonely at any point, frankly, because it was so busy. We had growth of 300% one year, 100% in between years 7 and 8. Didn't have time to just stop and go, oh, what's actually going on here? The only thing that maybe was lonely was I was now making decisions of sacrificing personal relationships because I was now throwing myself into the business. That's probably where loneliness can be more of a challenge, because when you've got people you love or care about saying, come and do this, and you're like, sorry, I can't because I'm prioritizing the business over here, that can be quite a difficult challenge to have. I always felt I was destined for doing something more and I was going to get to this exit. And I had this sort of raw enthusiasm that this was going to happen for me. And I guess many entrepreneurs do have that, but sometimes they don't get to the point where they manage to get to the exit. And obviously I'm grateful that we did. But yeah, so for me, it was just about working as hard as I could to get to that exit point and understanding that sacrifice was going to be worth it. Now, just post-exit, I don't have to change my personality because my personality was real all the way through. And my authenticity was real and integrity was real. And you're right, I want to help more people. And now I have all the time in the world, which is a magical thing, a place to be. But yeah, ultimately, I don't need to change much about myself to be good in that area. Just need to think, where do I focus my attention and how best do I help the world?
In the trenches, where you didn't have time to feel lonely and so on. It feels like that's also the time where maybe you were missing the kids' sports days, where you were missing sort of date time, if you like, with your missus and so on, which is often talked about, isn't it? This balance. So right now you have so much time. The kids are probably saying, Dad, go back out, right? Yeah. Whereas where were you 3 years ago, sort of thing. So I'm just interested to know what you did for yourself during that time. So I'm interested to know specifically about how you kept yourself both mentally and physically fit.
I set myself annual challenges, and often they would be health related. So I'd do half marathons, or I'd train to get down to be a fitness weight to be able to do a skydive, for example. I'd always set myself goals, very goal orientated entrepreneur outside of everything I was doing, because my love of food was real. And actually one of the things, and this sounds silly, but it's absolutely true, and I think it's good advice, donuts. Donuts worked for us. 2019, we spent 25 grand on donuts. Absolutely true. Every single client meeting I went to, branded donuts in the client's branding with a gluten-free option and a vegan option. So you're hitting everybody on the other side. Every time you go and meet a set of staff or a current client, you take them some food. This concept of like breaking bread with each other and giving and receiving, which again was what I had as a child.
That sounds very traditional as well. I'm sure that's how we used to probably bring grapes, bring food,
yes,
right?
Yes. People asked me to stop bringing the donuts in the end because they were too unhealthy. But actually, it was that sort of idea. And then I extended it. If I was ever going to a walk around with, say, my competitors, because we would go to a building where the client would, say, bid on the services, there'd be, say, 8 or 9 providers there that were all in competition with each other. I'd make sure I took twice as many donuts. And as I turned up, I offered everybody one. So the client could see we were already interacting.
And loads of people on the list was, he's that guy.
Yeah, no. And believe me, I became very unpopular with some of them.
Checking their bellies.
Yeah. No, but also because like I was showing the other competitors up from the very beginning. And, you know, you can see I'm a storyteller. I love to be in amongst it, and I love being amongst the people. And also sales is just 1 minute you're working for one provider, the next you're working for another. It was all just ridiculous to me. Like we'd all be together. So it was about setting challenges, and we did 100 skydives in the business in the end. I did 10 personally. So every September we knew skydive was coming up. You had to be at a certain weight, and it helped to focus at getting down to being healthy during that time and not focusing too much on the donuts. But yeah, we did 3 peaks, we did Tough Mudders, all those different things. But that was a way for me to create some relief for myself. And the one thing I promise you about a skydive, the 60 seconds that you're falling out of the plane before you hit the ground, you're going to die. So you are not thinking about whether that invoice has been paid at that stage or why that client doesn't like you. You're thinking about survival. And that is an amazing place to be. And having done that 10 times, I continue to do skydives today because I just love the clarity that you get when you're falling out of a plane.
That's interesting. I've spoken to different people, Damon Hill, you know, and people where they one of the things they thrive on is at that moment when they are going 150 mile an hour, 200 mile an hour, they can't concentrate on anything else. Yes. Slightly different seconds on a plane, but you get my point. They're seeking something.
Yes.
That when they visor down or whatever it is they're doing, they just focus on this and everything goes out.
But, you know, that's how I felt about sales. So I've sold £250 million of services to big tech companies and other clients in the UK in the last 10 years. When I go into that room, I am 100% focused. Leave the phone outside, couldn't care about anything else. My mind is on selling that service to that company that I'm sat across from. The donuts and stuff, they play up to that. But actually, I could go into a room and make them feel that the most important thing going on in my life right now was that you and I had a relationship with each other when I walked out of there. And that was very powerful. And I could do it better than most people could. And it was genuine because I wanted to win. And when I was dealing with massive tech businesses, you know, every app on your phone we were just going for to go, right, let's do their office, their office, their office, their office. That gave me such an energy. And I didn't prepare for sales meetings. I just walk in there and I just let it happen. And I knew that my energy could be the best it could be in that sort of flying around all over the place, jumping around. And I always remember Twitter. Twitter was like our 4th customer or something like that. And we went in there. It was meant to be a 1-hour presentation. We were there for 3 hours, and 2 hours we talked about dogs. And we walked out of that presentation, and I said to my colleague, if we don't win that contract, you know, this hasn't worked, because we just spent 2 hours talking about dogs. And Twitter went on to be a fantastic supporter of ours, hosted our 5th birthday party and all sorts of stuff. But yeah, it was about connecting with people genuinely and giving my whole self in those meetings and meaning it as well, because I really did care.
I love that, because if you use that analogy, 2/3 of what was a business meeting was actually people related.
Yes.
It was very much about connecting rather than stats, data, and so on. And I think that's why we get on, and even more so after this conversation. And and that whole sense of being fully present in the moment and no prep for this. You know, we literally, apart from knowing that the vibe from you felt really good and I can learn from that. Now, if you take that 250 million of sales that you've done, the entrepreneur that you are, and bring it right forward to now, you like a challenge.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know if you have got a plane you're jumping out of anytime soon, but I'm wondering how you're managing that, because there's clearly the challenge is what to do next, which is a good challenge, right? And you've taken the pressure off of the council estate kid that wanted to change your future and have a different kind of future for what became your family. So congratulations on that. And I guess there's a huge tick box scenario that actually you live and breathe every day now is that. But how do you get past this challenge element now? Because you had a business that challenged you. You had all the other microclimates that went with that. How are you satisfying that? Or are you and what I mean by that is if you put a timeline on this to kind of go, well, I'll chill now and I'll do my curiosity bit and I'll learn from this conversation and so on. But where's the pressure coming to start doing something?
The one thing I've learned very early on is not having an alarm clock, not having to be anywhere, having maybe 8 hours sleep, 9 hours sleep, waking up in the morning when my daughter runs in and gives me a cuddle for 20 minutes. I promise you that feeling, finding love and joy and warmth in that feeling is worth more than selling all 250 million pounds of services added together. Not even close. I would give all my money away to have a few more days to do that. And I genuinely mean that as well. I love it. I love doing the school run and all the basic stuff, the homework, taking them swimming, whatever it is with the kids, reconnecting with my wife, going for brunch, dropping the kids off and going to have brunch and talking, leaving phones in the car. There is so much power in that connection. So at the moment, I'm really enjoying that. Look, I was lucky. I got to do all the things that we want to do. I bought my mum and dad their house, my sisters their houses, paid my dad 250 grand to retire 5 years early, took him the cash on a quad bike and a Sainsbury's bag, famously, and all this sort of stuff. I got to do all those things. I got the chip off my shoulder, which was about being a working class kid who had it all to prove. I proved it. Now I'm trying to explore a little bit more. And actually, that's how we met, because we sort of had a conversation at the Great British Entrepreneur Awards, and I was in awe of what you were doing and the stories that you were telling from here. I'm exploring a little bit of being on podcasts and telling the story and raising a little bit of profile. But there are other things. I'm interested in legacy now. So, for example, I planted my own forest. I bought a big farm over in Oxford, which is where we live now, and I planted 1,500 trees on our own forest on our land. 86% of them died over the summer because of global warming, but that's a different story. They're being replanted. I am now one of, if not the biggest blood donor in the world.
You literally did it before you came
I literally have this plaster on my arm now. I donate every 2 weeks, and I donate 3 bags. You cannot donate more, and you cannot donate more often. So literally I've saved 1,000 lives or so now, and I'm on my way to keep going for as long as I can do. That also means I have to live my life in a relatively healthy way, because to donate blood, there are many things that you can't do.
Keeps you accountable though, doesn't it?
It does. Keeps you accountable all the time. And if I know, like, Christmas is coming up, so I know that there are going to be Christmas drinks and things coming out. On at least one occasion, I'm donating the next day, which means I can't drink. Great. So now that's another health benefit for me for doing it. So I love these little stories, and I like this idea that the kids in the future, they're 4 and 6 now, will be able to look back and see these little stories in the local paper of, like, crazy man plants a forest, or man is biggest blood donor in the world, or whatever it is. And I'm in no rush. I'm giving myself maybe 8 to 10 years for where I am now. Just take it as it comes. Have no pressure, no risk, and not need to do anything. We're very fortunate financially that we've given ourselves the opportunity to be in this situation. Neither my wife or I work now, and it's just about spending time together whilst everybody is still here. We take for granted on a daily basis that we're all going to get home at the end of the day, and that's just not the case.
Do you know what I love? There's the expression that's used a lot, money doesn't make you happy. What I'm picking up from this is that the council estate kid that wanted to, again, change the trajectory of your future has been able to give so much back to all your family, the 20% of the people in the company. There's so many people that will actually be able to look at the endeavours that you went on that have actually, allowed them to flourish.
Yeah.
And I think that, I hope, I don't need to tell you that. I feel that you can already ultimately feel that. You're an entrepreneur ultimately.
Yeah.
Do you think that you'll be in any way look into that space as a mentor and potentially an investor? And if so, I'm interested to know what you look for, because I feel like people are so important to you. You'd almost be looking for someone that in a way would remind you of a younger version of yourself. And not necessarily a younger version, but the traits. Yeah. And what are they?
Yes, I'm interested in helping other entrepreneurs that I can see the fire in, and I'm happy to put investment into those. I've invested nearly 10 million back into the UK now with the money that we've had, including reinvestments back into Pareto and everything that we've done. What I look for is someone that just has fire, and someone has heart, and someone has soul, And basically, they're just going to do it. They don't need anyone else to tell them that they're good enough. They don't need the applause of others. They know it's the right thing to do, and they're going to do it anyway. And for me, that's how I managed to sort of keep my mental health in a good place. Apart from my mum, I wasn't doing this for anyone else. It was just all about me. And as you said at the start, you hold yourself to such a high standard that nobody could hold a standard higher than I did for myself. And if I got it wrong, I would beat myself up. And if I got it right, I'd be like, yes, Andrew, this is what you should have done. Let's move on to the next one and keep growing. So, yeah, I think from my side, it's just about I just want to keep going and keep the positivity going and just be around and just let life happen to me for a change rather than trying to create all these opportunities.
Being fully present. Sitting here now, how do you define success?
Finding joy in the mundane. It's being in those basic situations that you find yourself in every day and being happy that you're there. Before I started the business, you could not have convinced me that cuddling my daughter would have been where I found the total joy in life. Now you couldn't convince me otherwise. I was lucky I did the journey. I made the tens of millions. I did all of that sort of stuff. But actually, just being in the moment and being there on those mundane things, taking the kids to school and waving to them like I did this morning while they were dancing in the playground as part of their start to the day, them smiling, loving it, so much positivity and joy. That's what success is. You couldn't have convinced me before I did it. Now you couldn't change my mind.
But you're sitting here with 100 million exit. You know where I'm going with this, right?
Yeah.
So a younger version of me was told by countless high net worths, and I was talking to maybe 3 or 4 a day every day through a sales role that I was in. And they knew that I was about to be a dad. And then through that journey of becoming a dad, it was like a worn record, Andrew. They all said, most magical time. And the period you've got coming up now where they call you daddy, and they want to be with you more than anyone will ever want to be with you. Make time to be there.
Yeah.
And it was in the end, it went in. And I was on these calls and doing all my meetings and traveling, not at home.
Yeah.
So then by the time my second daughter was born, 20 months later, I made that period of time where I was accessible. And I tried to get a balance where I could have those times and dropping off and so on. I've gone the other way now, but they're teenagers. And so I'm back in that whole, I'm here with you, out for dinner tonight.
Yeah.
But where I'm going with it is anyone watching, listening to you then going, what's all right for you?
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be 100 minutes. It could be, whatever it could be. But
yeah,
with reflection.
Yeah.
And the fact that you did miss things, and that would be probably one of your only regrets. But but you're doing it now, and because the regret that everyone, worn record-wise, had when I was talking to them was they'd missed it.
Yeah,
20 years had gone by. Kids didn't want to know them, or they didn't know who they were. Broken marriages because the wife was, "We never here."
Yeah.
What advice would you give about finding that balance when you're in the trenches? That younger version where you're like, you wouldn't have listened, but actually, you articulated it beautifully. I think you don't want to be that guy.
You absolutely have to carve out time. That is the only thing you can do. Be rigorous with your diary. Be good at saying no. You know, this power of saying no, like it's absolutely about that. I was bad. Saturdays and Sundays, I really had to try and drag myself away because I used Sunday as an admin catch-up day because I didn't get the phone calls. So, and actually, you're right. My wife wasn't happy at several occasions when I was making those choices. Split your week up, compartmentalize it, understand which parts of your week you're going to be available. Leave your phone somewhere else so that you haven't got it in your hand and thinking about it, but just make time. It's easy to say, it's impossible to do. Put something in your calendar and make time and stick to it. And I say about entrepreneurs holding themselves to account, hold yourself to the highest account on that bit, not about the sales or the profitability or the cash or the exit value. Hold it with your kids or your family or whoever is dear to you, but make time. And you're absolutely right. You do not want to wake up when they're 20 years old and go, missed that. Now I've got some time back.
And I in the same way that we're so present with each other now, I felt that pain. I felt, we're both good on EQ. That's probably a key strength of ours. Is that empathy and so on. People worth, 300-400 million say, and you're sort of having this, the conversation started with the success story and so on. And then they found out that I was about to be a dad or I was a dad. And it was like someone just pulled the plug out of their energy. Like, John, it doesn't matter how much money I've made. And that hearing that from you in this conversation, I think it's powerful because it's fresh.
Yeah.
And you've got that knowledge from both being on one side of the fence and the other, and it's so clear which one means more. I look forward to this conversation. I don't want it to end, but we've run out of time. But I hope that I've so enjoyed it. I hope you have too.
Absolutely, yeah. I can't believe it's already gone.
I know. It's that our conversation carries on because I'd love to be in any way part of your next chapter. Actually, I'm excited for what you will choose. And no doubt you're going to give back to so many people, and you'll go again.
Yes.
And see what you do.
I have many ideas, as we do. It's, of course, in entrepreneurship, it's about working out which idea actually means something. But I love adventure. I love being with people. I love creating opportunities for people. Something will happen.
Yeah.
And watch this space.
No, totally.
There's more to come.
Well, thank you so much. You made time to talk today. Thank you.
Appreciate it.